Welcome to Minnesota Legion News Network. This is a new format that we are going to start because we are a big organization. In Minnesota, we have close to 60,000 members, and it's really hard to stay in touch. And we thought there's no better way to kick off this new podcast than to hear from our commander of this year, which is Dr. Carl Moon. And so thank you, Commander, for being a part of the podcast, for helping us to kick it off. We'd like to hear a little bit more, if you would, about your theme for this year. Any words of wisdom you want to impart upon us? And do you have any updates that you'd like to share?
Well, I'd first like to start out with saying happy holidays to everyone. As much as this is a festive time of the year for all of us, we have to remember we have veterans that this time of year also is difficult. Not to be on a negative note, but I think we need to take consideration of our fellow veterans that may be suffering or having difficulties. I think we need to reach out, be the one, contact someone you haven't seen in a while. Just say hi, how are you? We haven't seen you around. Are you doing okay? Excuse me. Maybe go over and have a cup of coffee with them. Just let them know you're there for them. It's not a membership thing. It's not anything else other than just making contact with someone during this time of the year. But again, I hope that everyone will have a happy Thanksgiving and a very Merry Christmas. And for my Jewish friends, Happy Hanukkah. And also, I hope we have a very good New Year this year.
Yeah, thank you for that. I'm glad that you brought up Be the One, because it really is just emphasizing again that the American Legion started on relationships, and we're continuing. It's about relationships, knowing who are your members in the organization and seeing them as people.
Exactly.
First and foremost. Yeah.
And one of our topics during our January podcast will be the One and buddy checks too. So that rolls right into what we'll be doing next month also.
Exactly. And that kind of ties in with my next thing I wanted to mention is that our committees, I think, are doing very well. We had a meeting the other night on Zoom with the VA&R committee. And
what is the VA&R committee?
It's the Veterans Rehab and Rehabilitation Committee. Okay. And it has to do a lot with veterans in our medical facilities, our state veterans homes. It also has a lot to do with hospitals. And it's mainly not just that, but as a subdivision of the VA&R committee, I sit on the National Committee for PTSD, Suicide Prevention, and TBI. And so Be the One is a very integral part of the VA&R committee. And I think we're going to try to have at the Spicer rally in December, we're going to have just a little bit of briefing on the Be the One. And hopefully down the way, we can also introduce some more training on that. But the VA&R committee is regrouping. It's reformatting their mission. And I was very impressed with the progress they're making. So that I was very happy with. The other committee is we have an ad hoc committee for Boys State. Boys State has done extremely well over the years, but we're trying to reformat that so we can maybe make it a corporation for protection, not only for their members and officers, but also for protection from the American Legion in case anything were to come up. I know Judge Colby is very adamant about trying to get these programs so that, it's more clear-cut where we stand and who we represent. So.
Yeah. You bring up so many points in just talking about those two committees, because the American Legion is more than taking care of veterans. It's also a business.
It is.
And so, it sounds like we're kind of retreading a lot, looking at what we do in maybe a new light, it sounds like.
Well, we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing. We want to make sure that we are protecting our members, from
Right.
liability issues. We want to make sure that we're representing the American Legion the best that we can. And we want to make sure that we're following the guidelines of business, because we are a business.
Well,
Yeah.
and during the recent regional training here in Denver, Mark Seavey, the National Judge Advocate, was here and he went over a lot of legal stuff and talking about the 4 rules of
Of a program.
organizations or subsidiaries under the American Legion and what those need to be and the rules behind those. So that's something that we're all focusing on now. So like you said, to protect the organization, the members, and the departments and things of that nature too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's one of the main issues, is that we want to make sure that the Legion Post understand that we have programs that are a part of the American Legion, that the Legion is responsible for, that they need to oversee. We just can't let the SAL and riders go off on their own mission, that we have
Sure.
to be responsible for those programs, because it is
Right.
a subsidiary of the American Legion.
Yes,
Yeah.
and sometimes they do a really great job, and I love all of our programs.
Right.
But we have to make sure that they are reporting to us so that we can report necessarily what we need to the state and things like that when it comes to finance and reporting and whatnot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to bring up was that starting our new legislative year, 2025-26, that begins on Tuesday, January 14th. And I know that Christy Janico, our legislative chair, will be keeping us informed of what's going on. There's going to be some issues because the House is equally divided. So we're not sure how that's going to affect some of our legislative agenda that we're going to be presenting to the state legislature. I'm going to be chairman of the CTF, which is the Commander's Task Force this year. And we try to unite the 8 congressional recognized service organizations to present our platform on a united front to the legislature. So we're looking for that support.
And she just put out a flyer for the legislative social on January 8th, 4:30 to 8:30 at Mancini's right in St. Paul. And they did this last year, and they're inviting the legislators to come in and meet in a social environment so that we can get to know, especially the new legislators who we haven't met before.
Correct. And I was unable to make it last year, but I do plan on being there this year. I think it's just a good way to just meet and greet and to shake a few hands and just kind of put a bug in the air about what concerns we have. So we're looking forward to that. And it was a good turnout last year, and I think it's going to be even better this year.
Yeah,
It's always great to put a name with a face, so that moving forward you're familiar.
Exactly. Also, Go ahead.
Well, I was just Christy does a fantastic job. So shout out to Christy Janingo.
Right. And
wonderful.
If people receive emails about voter voice, and grassroots, how you respond to issues, not just within the state, but also federal issues that we have concerns with, please respond to those, because those help let our legislators know how much we support these things. These are veterans issues. And we want to let them know, and you can do it more than once. And so I happen to be a DAV member, and I try to answer their supportive things and also the Legion issues too. So,
what else? What's exciting is you can do voter voice for the national level stuff, but Minnesota also has its own voter voice.
Yeah, correct.
So if you get 2, it's one is our national organization. Respond to that, absolutely, but also respond to the ones that you get for local, for state issues here in Minnesota too.
Exactly.
So you're not getting it twice. They're 2 different levels of government, and we want everybody to respond to both.
Exactly. Yeah. And the other thing too is, just the season. Not only for holidays, but we got midwinters coming up. It's starting in late January, early February. And it's a time that I would encourage post participation in their districts, because it's a chance to learn what issues your district is having and put your 2 cents in. Be there, be involved. Your district needs you to help them, and they're there to help us, and vice versa. We're trying to support the district as much as we can also. So
Yeah.
And fourth and fifth district is doing theirs on January 11th
okay.
at Arcade Phelan, post 577. I had to think about that. I'm the adjutant for that district. I had to think about that. And we're focusing on training and doing a bunch of training with the Legion, the Auxiliary, and the SAL. So, of course, Commander, we hope to see you stop in and say hello.
If I don't make the midwinters, I will definitely make the convention. So I'm trying to divide my time up equally, but I will have representation at the meetings that I am unable to make by using our vice commanders effectively. So
yeah, Joe Jansen is our vice commander, so he'll automatically be there because he's in the fourth. So
right. And the other thing I want to talk about was our programs. We have some great programs. Oratorical. We have Boys State, Girls State. We have Legionville. These are programs that affect our communities. They're also chances for kids in school to achieve scholarships and to learn. And I'm so impressed. I've been so impressed with participation in Boys State. I was at the last year's Boys State and watched these young men participate in government, even though some of the things they brought up were a little weird. But they had a fun time learning how to govern, and the camaraderie. These kids all came together not knowing anybody and leaving there with lifelong friends. So I'm very impressed because it's something that benefits the kids as much as it benefits us. And Legionville, especially since I'm also president of Legionville, it's a great opportunity for young kids to meet new friends, to have a great summer event, and also to learn about safety. We don't have very many school safety patrol crossing guards anymore, but we do have a lot of safety issues, and we want to make the kids aware of these. So it's a great opportunity.
It is. Thank you. What is your theme for this year,
It
Commander?
spells out ACT, ACT, which means accountability, communication, and transparency. The importance of that is we want our department committees to be transparent as far as what we're trying to do. We want to be able to communicate with the districts, and we want to take action. We want to help the districts when we're asked to help. We also want to provide guidance because the districts are the key. They're the ones that have the boots on the ground for the post. But if we can't tell them what they're supposed to be doing, what good is that? We want to make sure we're responsible to them in any way that we can be beneficial.
Yeah. We all work together and we all have these responsibilities. And so you identified that being able to communicate in 10 different districts can be quite a challenge. So
it can be at times, but it's a great challenge. I look forward to it. I've had many conversations with the different districts so far. I'm so impressed with what the districts are doing. I'm even more impressed with when I've attended post functions that are community related, the impact on the communities, what they do for the communities and vice versa. The community supports the programs also. It just gives you a good feeling that everyone is doing their part.
Yeah. Commanders of the department also, as well, the commanders of the districts also, they have a project, don't they?
Yes.
So you're out fundraising as well as being our commander.
Correct.
What is your project for the year and how is it going?
My project is the Veterans Defense Project. They were responsible for establishing the Veterans Courts in Minnesota in 2021. The problem that they're having is that out of the 87 districts that Minnesota has, we only have Veterans Courts in 26 districts. They want to be able to reach out to the counties where the veterans live. So they need to educate the court system They need to educate the attorneys involved. They need to make sure that the VSOs are aware of the programs that are available to help veterans who have kind of reached the wrong side of the justice system. And this may be because of stresses and unseen injuries they received during the service. People come back and adjusting to from service going into community life is not always easy. And so some of these veterans have had difficulties. They've had some addiction issues, and it's landed them on the wrong side of the court system. But what this does, it gives them an opportunity to go through a period of probation where they have to meet certain standards over a year's time. And then if they've met those standards, then they can have their records expunged and so become more productive citizens in those communities. The thing is, we need mentors. The Defense Project needs people to go out, and you don't tell them what to do. You listen. They have to make the decision about what to do. It's like playing. It's like playing tennis. You can hit the ball to them, but if they don't hit it back, it's not a game. So you have to wait till they're ready to play, and realize that these are important things for them. So we're looking to help expand the mentoring progress on that. And I was hoping to raise $60,000 this year to help them do that. And we're up to $20,000 so far. So
congratulations.
I'm very happy with that progress. And we've gained 2 new members from the Veterans Defense Project.
Congratulations. Good job. Thank you for sharing. I know you're busy. You kind of have to mentally gear up for it. And Jennifer is a past department commander. And so there's light at the end of the tunnel because
it's not a train coming at you. Yes.
Well, we wish you well. Thank you, Commander. And
Thank you, Commander.
Send my wishes to you and to your wife. So God bless you both.
Thank you so very much. And Merry Christmas. And Happy
Merry
holidays.
Christmas.
Thank you.
Have a great
holidays.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
It was nice that our commander was able to take time out because, as you know, when you're the commander of a department or the commander of a district and even the commander of a post, a lot of your time is not your own, is it? You are taking care of needs, you're visiting, you're doing a lot of things, serving. And so leading is really about serving. And
it really is. It's crazy because, we have our convention and you're elected on that Saturday, and that Sunday morning, the expectation is you're at the Hopkins parade and you're like, okay. And you get this 3-page list of what I used to call must-dos, commander must-dos, commander's task force, boys state, baseball, all those things that, are expected of you to attend. And then districts and posts say, but we also want you to come and visit us on this date and this date. So it's great that you have, in Minnesota, we have 5 department vice commanders. So, no one can be everywhere all the time.
Right.
So if you have a good set of vice commanders, you can say, can you go do this, this, and this for me so that, you're not completely overwhelmed and unbalanced when you go to visit our veterans and their posts.
Yeah. This is a new podcast format, and what you and I have discussed is we really want this to be informational, just what's coming down the pipeline for you Legionnaires in Minnesota, what are the hot topics. And so we plan on interviewing, hopefully, the committee chairs, right? Tell us what's happening in your lane. And so Commander talked a little bit about the oratorical that's coming down real soon, isn't it?
Yep, that's the department oratorical contest is in February 24th at Anoka Post 72. You can find information about department oratorical on the website, which is mnlegion.org under programs, and then oratorical's got its own tab for it, and on there it has the state information and it has the national information too, and you'll be able to find the 5 amendments that they do their oratorical contest on.
It's a beautiful program at all levels. You have to rise to the challenge because it's
If
difficult too.
if you are like some of us older people, you start to lose faith in like the
Yeah.
younger generation or where our country's going. I tell you what, watch the national oratorical contest because they record those. I don't believe we do at the department
No,
level, but
no.
those people at the top level at the national contest are extraordinary speakers with extraordinary um body language, and you can tell that they put a lot of work into
Yeah.
knowing their topics and being a presenter and projecting their voices. It is really pretty outstanding.
It's a beautiful. Can we look back a little bit because we had fall conference back in October.
In October,
We had
yeah.
it in St. Cloud again. And
Mhm.
fall conference is really the place in Minnesota where we teach on certain topics too. And then it's always getting together and building those relationships across
Right.
the aisle, if you will, across the districts. And so, but one thing we always do at the fall conference is we do the service awards, the service member awards.
Yep. Every branch of the service gets a service
Active,
award. Yes.
the guard units and the active duty components.
Correct, correct. And so our National Security Committee, which is the chairman of that is Jim Kellogg, who coincidentally currently is the national vice commander out of our region at the
Yeah.
national level. So that was, that's a benefit to us too. And so we bring all those service members in. That committee gets lots of applications, and they pick one winner from each of those branches, and they come to department fall conference, and we give them a plaque and a certificate. Their family usually comes in,
Yeah.
and they give a little speech about what it means to them to be in the service and what the award means to them. So and we've been doing it a lot of years,
Mhm.
and we've given out a lot of awards to some really great servicemen and women. Absolutely a part of their community, not just the military.
It's probably one of my highlights because you have outside individuals coming into the fall conference, the families, the leaders that submitted the award application,
yes. Yep.
and they all get to come into our arena, if you will, and talk about the award winner. And the award winners off the cuff give beautiful, speeches or words of wisdom or gratitude. And I just appreciate that connection that we have to active serving. Sometimes they look too young for me to be in the military. It's like, oh, you're so young.
The older I get, I think to myself, oh my God, are they like 12? And I realize that I'm getting older and everybody looks like they're 12.
Right. Yes. But what they submit and get their awards for, it's like, oh my goodness, we've got beautiful, lovely human beings serving in the military that have hearts of compassion and go out of their way on so many different levels. So I'm glad that we do that in Minnesota. And then at the fall conference, Commander talked about we did Be the One training.
Yep.
We had training opportunities. We had post-service officer training.
Yes, we did.
And what else did we do?
We did
programs.
We did some post officer training. We did Be the One. We did My Legion training, for processing membership and revitalization and things of that nature. We did resolutions. One of our instructors did resolutions. So we did a bunch of things. What the other thing happened too, and a little shout out to the auxiliary, is they did a poppy making event where everybody, the whole Legion team, the Legion, the auxiliary, the SAL, the riders, got in one big room and had great fun and camaraderie while we were building poppies, making poppies, so that during poppy season, which is generally around Memorial Day weekend or fishing openers, technically when we do it in Minnesota, because we have a lot of fishermen who come in to Minnesota to fish in the 10,000 lakes. And so the auxiliary and the Legion and the SAL and the riders all work together to distribute poppies. And some people give donations to those poppies so that the auxiliary can use that money to help veterans and programs and things like that.
Yeah, because so we're not buying them from anywhere. We're actually making the poppies.
Well, we buy the kits and then we make the
Yeah,
actual poppies. Yes.
yeah. And so a lot of the things that the American Legion team does
Yep.
is we make it.
Yep.
And so it's just it's a beautiful thing. Any other things? The oratorical, hopefully we'll get Jamie Woods on
Yep.
next month to come in and talk a little bit further about the Minnesota oratorical contest.
Right.
Maybe we might be able to get the service members pictures or names
I
to
think
shout out to them.
yes, I'm going to try to on this podcast.
Okay.
I'm going to try to get their bio and put them into
Oh,
this podcast. Their names and their ranks and what they won and things like that. And if we can get
perfect.
headshots, I'll do that. But the other thing too is we want to talk about is law and order, which is a part of national security, because
Okay.
those are our law enforcement of the year and firefighter of the year awards.
Okay.
And those are like our service member of the years. They are outstanding firefighters, paramedics, and police officers who not only protect and serve us
Every day.
and every day and most of the times in our darkest hours, but
Yeah.
also what they do inside their community and how they are an integral part of their community. So that process goes through our national security committee also, and we pick one from each, and they'll come in and get an award. And like our service members, they'll bring their family and their the people who submitted them, their bosses or officers, and will come in and they'll do that this with the same as our service officers.
And so in Minnesota, we've got 10 districts. And
Correct.
so each district can submit one, or can they submit more?
Each post actually submits them,
Each post.
and if I'm remembering it correctly now,
Yeah, on the
been
spot
3
now,
years since I've been
Jennifer.
Spartan commander. So the awards go out, and they want lots of entries so that they
Yeah.
can pick a lot. So I would say at least one from each post for each category would be great. Do the reports go to do the districts collect them and send them up? Yes, they do. But I do not believe that we filter them down at the district level. I think they go straight up to the district only collects them and then
Oh.
sends them to department.
So the post goes directly to the department. So each post, the hundreds posts that we have in Minnesota, each post can submit an application.
They very well could, and I
Directly.
think the law and order chair, Pat
Logan?
Logan. I should never. Pat Logan's never going to forgive me for that. Pat
Right.
Logan would be excited if he got one from each 544 of our posts. He might be his committee might be a little overwhelmed, but I think he would be excited because he's a retired police officer too. So that means a lot.
Yes. Yes. Just circle back before I'm sure people, thank you for listening in, but just to circle back, because the commander mentioned that we're going to have this legislative social invite
Yep.
is going to be on January 8th. And so Chrissy Janingo, who's our chair again for our legislative committee, it just sent out an invite for specific people. But if you want to go, I'm sure she'd be very happy. I know at the federal level or at the national level, they're going to streamline their asks.
Yeah.
And so they got feedback from our constituents in the Capitol that they would like less asks and to be able to streamline them, which will give that more power to pass.
Well,
And
and part of what the legislative committee does too, and it works with the commander's task force, something else Commander Moon was talking about, is that we say what we want as the big eight, what we call them, the big eight service organizations in Minnesota, congressionally chartered by Congress. And they get together once a month, and Christy will be our representative at that meeting. And what they do is they talk about, okay, here's the platform we're going to put to the House and the Senate and to the governor. They'll meet with the governor and say, these are the things that the big eight want or need for our veterans and their families and things like that. So they'll come up with a slate for that, and all those are agreed on by the eight. Sometimes the Legion has a couple extras that the other eight aren't priorities for the other 8. So
Yeah.
we'll separately champion that also. But by and large, the big 8 are on the same page when we tell the House and the Senate and the governor what we want for that fiscal year.
Beautiful. So we look forward to doing this once a month, just giving you lowdown. And so moving forward in December, it really is a lot of holy days, and it's the Pearl Harbor Rally and getting ready for legislative, oratorical. There's bowling in there, so we'll probably have people from the bowling team come on. And so hopefully you'll find this, the podcast, to kind of get your head in the game for the coming month, right?
Absolutely. And get out, posts should be, Carl is right, Commander's right, when we should get our posts to attend their district level stuff. That's when posts are going to get information coming down to the department and wanting to know what's going on. They're your intermediary. If you have a question or you're concerned for department, your best bet is to go to your district officers, and they will in turn get the information for you. That's how we work. We're just like government. We have tiers and we have branches, and our job is to make sure that our posts can run as effectively as they can inside of their communities to help their veterans and their communities and the families in them.
Yeah. And we're going to be able to find this podcast on Facebook and the YouTube, the Minnesota American Legion YouTube channel.
Correct, too. And I think we're also going to put it on because training committee, we just put together, I just did a sign on for our training committee, and that's Instagram. So we could probably get it on there too. So we're going to have to build up that audience on Instagram so that we'll put it in as many places as people can watch it.
Awesome. I look forward to it. So thank you for your time. If you're listening, we appreciate you, and we wish you well this holiday season. Thanks.
Have a great holiday season, everybody. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.